should have known something was wrong the moment he smiled at me through the rain. His teeth were too white, his suit was too dry, and the umbrella he held toward me, black, sleek, expensive, wasn't trembling in the wind like everything else. My hands were shaking as I stood there on that empty street corner, water pooling around my shoes, lightning splitting the sky above us. He didn't blink when the thunder cracked. He just kept his arm extended, steady as stone, waiting. And when I tried to refuse, when I opened my mouth to say no thank you, he leaned closer and whispered 6 words that turned my blood to ice. "She told me you'd say that." The storm had come out of nowhere. One moment I was leaving the hospital, numb and hollow, the fluorescent lights still burning behind my eyelids. The next, the sky had opened up like a wound. Rain hammered the pavement, wind tore at my jacket. I had been walking for 20 minutes without knowing where I was going, just moving, trying to outrun the words the doctor had said 3 hours earlier. Terminal. 6 months. I'm sorry. My mother's face kept flickering through my mind, the way she'd looked at me from that hospital bed, her hand so light in mine it barely felt real. The way she'd whispered, "Find him," before falling back asleep. Find who? I'd asked her twice. She never answered. Now I was soaked to the bone, standing at an intersection I didn't recognize, and this man, this stranger in a tailored charcoal suit, was offering me an umbrella like we were old friends. "Take it," he said again. His voice was smooth, practiced. "You'll need it." "I'm fine," I lied, teeth chattering. He tilted his head, studied me. His eyes were dark, too dark, like he could see straight through my skull into the chaos beneath. "No," he said softly, "you're not." There was something familiar about him. The shape of his jaw, the way he stood with his weight on his left leg. I'd seen that posture before, but I couldn't place it. My mind was scrambling, grasping at fragments. "Do I know you?" I asked. He didn't answer, just pressed the umbrella into my hand before I could pull away. His fingers were cold, impossibly cold. "Keep it with you," he said. "Don't open it until you're ready." "Open it? It's an umbrella." "Not yet." His tone sharpened, urgent, almost desperate. "Promise me, not until you understand." Lightning flashed. For half a second, his face was illuminated, high cheekbones, a scar along his temple I hadn't noticed before. And something else, something that made my stomach drop. He looked like someone I'd known a lifetime ago. Before I could ask again, he turned and walked into the storm. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone, swallowed by the rain and the darkness. I stood there, gripping the umbrella, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. I was 7 years old the first time I heard my mother talk about him. We were in the kitchen. She was peeling apples, her hands moving in that absent, automatic way they did when she was lost in thought. I had asked her about my father, something I rarely did because the question always made her sad. She'd paused, set down the knife, looked at me with eyes that seemed older than they should have been. "Your father," she'd said slowly, "made me a promise once, in the rain." "What kind of promise?" She'd smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "The kind you can't break, even if you want to." I didn't understand then. I was just a kid. But I remembered the way she'd said it, like those words weighed more than the world. Now, standing in this storm with a stranger's umbrella in my hand, I felt that memory crack open inside me. I ran. Not toward anything, just away. My feet splashed through puddles, my lungs burning as I pushed through the rain. I didn't know why I was running, didn't know what I was afraid of, but every instinct screamed at me to move. Behind me, I heard footsteps. I glanced back. Nothing. Just shadows and rain. but I could feel it. Someone watching, following. The hairs on my neck stood on end. I ducked into an alley, pressed my back against the brick wall, gasping for air. The umbrella was still in my hand, slick with rain. I stared at it. Don't open it until you're ready. What did that even mean? My phone buzzed in my pocket. I fumbled for it, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. One new message. Unknown number. Did he give it to you? My breath caught. I typed back with trembling fingers. Who is this? The reply came instantly. You already know. You've always known. I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe the stress, the exhaustion, the grief pressing down on my chest like a stone. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. The man, the umbrella, the cryptic words. But the umbrella was real, heavy, cold in my hand. I turned it over, examining it in the dim light from a street lamp. It looked normal. Black canopy, wooden handle, except there was something carved in the handle. I squinted, wiping away the rain. Initials. MC. My mother's initials were MC. Margaret Coleman. I was back at the hospital within the hour. My mother was asleep when I arrived, her breathing shallow and uneven. The machines beeped softly around her, counting down the hours we had left. I sat beside her bed, the umbrella across my lap, and waited. When she finally opened her eyes, I didn't waste time. Who is he? I asked. The man in the suit. She blinked, confused, disoriented. What man? The one you told me to find, the one who gave me this. I held up the umbrella. Her face went pale, whiter than the sheets. She struggled to sit up, and I helped her, my hands gentle on her shoulders. You saw him, she whispered. Not a question, a statement. Who is he, Mom? She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were filled with tears. Your father. The world tilted. That's impossible, I said. Dad died before I was born. You told me. I lied. The words hung in the air between us, sharp and brutal. I lied because I had to. Because he made me promise. Because if I told you the truth, you'd go looking for him, and I couldn't let that happen. Why not? She reached for my hand, held it tight. Because he's dangerous. Not in the way you think, but dangerous all the same. He's tied to things I don't understand, things that follow him like shadows. Then why did you tell me to find him now? She looked at the umbrella. Because time's running out, for both of us. And there's something you need to know, something he's been carrying for 28 years. She told me to open the umbrella. Inside, she whispered, there's a pocket sewn into the lining. My hands were shaking as I unfurled it. The canopy spread above me, black as midnight. I ran my fingers along the seams, searching. There, a small pocket, barely visible. I reached inside. My fingers closed around paper. I pulled out a letter, old, yellowed, folded carefully. Read it, my mother said. I unfolded it. The handwriting was elegant, steady. To the child I'll never know. Your mother made me leave before you were born. She thought it was safer that way. Maybe she was right. I've spent my life running from something I can't name, something that hunts me in dreams and waking alike. I didn't want that shadow to touch you. But I need you to know, I wanted to stay. Every day since, I've thought about you, wondered who you'd become, if you'd have your mother's laugh, her stubbornness, her courage. If you're reading this, it means she's told you the truth, and it means time is running out. There's a choice you'll have to make, soon. I can't tell you what it is, because I don't know. But when the moment comes, trust your instincts. Trust the parts of you that came from me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Sorry I couldn't teach you how to throw a baseball, or help with your homework, or tell you I'm proud of you. But I am. I always have been. And I always will be. M.C. My father's initials. Martin Coleman. I'd never known his first name. My mother had never spoken it. I looked up at her, tears streaming down my face. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid, she said, simply. Afraid of what he'd bring into your life. Afraid you'd choose him over safety. And now? She smiled. Sad, bittersweet. Now I'm more afraid of you never knowing the truth. The storm was still raging when I left the hospital, but this time I didn't run from it. I walked into the rain with purpose, the umbrella open above me, the letter tucked safely in my pocket. I didn't know where I was going, not exactly, but I knew he'd find me. And he did. He was waiting at the same intersection. Same suit, same impossible stillness. When he saw me, his face softened. You read it, he said. I did. He nodded, looked down. I didn't know if I'd ever have the courage to give it to you. I've been carrying that umbrella for 28 years, watching from a distance, making sure you were safe. Why now? Because, he said quietly, some storms don't wait, and I couldn't let you face yours alone. We stood there in the rain for a long time. He told me about the years he'd spent away, the reasons he'd stayed hidden, the threats that had chased him across continents, shadows with no faces, debts he couldn't explain. He told me he'd been there for every birthday, every graduation, every moment that mattered, always watching, never close enough to touch. I wanted to protect you, he said, even if it meant you'd never know me. I looked at him, this stranger who was my father, and felt something shift inside me. Anger, grief, but also understanding. I know you now, I said. He smiled, a real smile this time, broken, beautiful. Yeah, he whispered, you do. My mother passed away 3 weeks later. I was holding her hand when it happened. My father was standing in the doorway, too afraid to come closer, but unable to leave. She looked at him once, just once, and smiled. Then she was gone. I kept the umbrella. Some days I open it even when it's not raining, just to feel the weight of it, to remember the storm that brought my father back to me, to remember the promise he kept, even from a distance. People think storms are meant to destroy, but sometimes they come to reveal, to wash away the lies, to bring back what was lost. Some storms don't come to drown us. They come to show us who's been standing in the rain for us all along, even when we couldn't see them, even when we didn't know to look.